Good evening and welcome to tonight's meeting. Today is Tuesday, August the 3rd, 2021. The time is now 6 p.m. The regular meeting of the City Council is will now come to order. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? Carlos, would you please lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Have a roll call, please.
DeBono?
Here.
Goodall?
Here.
Griego?
Here.
Ogletree? Here. Shu?
Here.
Williamson?
Here.
Rico?
Here. Item 2, approval of the agenda. The council have any changes to the agenda? None? Have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Call the vote, please.
DeBono?
Yes.
Goodall?
Yes.
Griego?
Yes.
Ogletree?
Yes.
Shu?
Yes.
Williamson?
Yes.
Rico?
Yes. Item 3, policy items and staff reports. Mr. Valentine, do you have anything?
Nothing there to report, but we do have the next item.
Okay.
Mr. Lopez is here for an ARPA update.
3A, an ARPA update. Mr. Lopez, come forward, please.
Hello, council, mayor, staff, everybody else out there. Thank you for. Good to see you guys. It's kind of weird being on this side again, but it's kind of nice. So I have been attending a lot of the ARPA meetings over the past year and a half since I've been appointed. Mike has been there for a lot of them with me, and he's very busy, so we try to always make sure that we're in constant communication regarding pending things that are important. And I think the last time I addressed you all was via Zoom about over a year ago, felt like, when we had some other things that were coming to light pertaining to ARPA and how it affects the city of Trinidad with our electric consumption, our bills, and things to that nature. So I felt that it was really kind of imperative that I come back and say hi, because I'm quite honest, I haven't heard anything from anybody. So I guess Mike was relaying information, and there hasn't been a ton of things going on, but we have had come to light the LRP, or the facility in Lamar being demolished, which is going to be a big eyesore removal for the people of Lamar. And we know we've had kind of some tenuous relationships with the city of Lamar when we try to do things with their utility board, etc. So this is hopefully going to be, I think it's going to be something that's going to kind of pull that sticker out of the wound, so to speak, and let that festering kind of notion kind of finally come to a cease. But anyway, I wanted to just kind of keep you up as apprised for the last meeting that we had. Unfortunately, Mike wasn't able to attend, so this is kind of just a me thing right now. But I've kept Mike apprised, of course, so that way he's in the know. And Mike, if you think there's anything I'm saying or that's out of context, let me know. But basically, right now for this coming year, we're slightly under budget for revenue. We're also slightly over budget on the A&G. But it's not been a bad thing so far, because we had a low utility consumption month of May. May was a very cool month, so people weren't pulling for AC as heavily as they have in the past. It was nice and pleasant, but the good thing about when you don't have a whole lot of these expenditures or lack of revenue, you don't have the expenditures going in tandem with them. So it hasn't been a bad thing. Right now, our year-to-date projections, from what I've been informed, the sales are predicted to be 1% under budget. Our net income is predicted to be 2.7% less than budget, but we may see these numbers change if we have a hot and humid July, from reflections of what we just had. So these numbers always come in always a month later, as you guys are always aware, to us. In 2021, the year-end cash projection is at $4.7 million, and this includes expenditures of capital and the LRP contingency monies, which they have no intent on spending those monies at this point. So it's almost like a surplus, which is nice for us, so that way we can use those for better rating systems. You know, we have a pretty good rating. It's been continually growing. Our debt service coverage right now is at 1.3%, which is good. And I know these numbers are really small and they seem kind of insignificant, but when it comes to what I've learned with these enumerated individuals, these are significant for reflections of savings for us in the future. Our 2022 budget versus 2021 is 1.1% overall increasing in operating expenditures, and they break down to the following. We have a 2.2% PSCO power supply costs, which is going to be going up, and PSCO is the power service company, or public service company rather. We have some slight transmission cost increase, and when they say slight, that's a hair of a percent. So they don't even mention that, which normally is interesting because they mention 0.1%. We have a 10.7% increase in A&G to maintaining insurance on the LRP, but we will be starting to see a decrease now that that is decommissioned and no longer needing to be insured because there's nothing there. So that's going to be nice in 2022, but yet we're still budgeting for it as of right now. There's $165,000 for capital improvements and contingencies, which is also incorporated into that overall 1.1% increase in operating expenditures. Again, I'll reiterate, we're expecting a significant discount on the insurance since the Lamar Power Plant demolition. In 2022, the budget review in September will be in person, and we're looking to do our final approval date on December 2nd of this year, just like how you guys have yours in December, and you probably get yours at the beginning of October. This is the time frame for ARPA. And then into the operating report. And there's some interesting things going on into here, and especially when you get to legislative, but I'll start off here. In May and June, all the costs were lower than 2020 and in 2018. And I asked, well, why weren't the 2019 numbers taken into effect into this? And basically it came down to because that's when we started our discounted rate change in 2019. So they wanted to show the reflection from the highest port in 2018. I think a lot of you that were here remember that. And then 2019 we got that discount in price because of the better negotiations, I guess would be the proper term, for when we got those energy prices discounted. One of the interesting things I found out, so we're at about $44 to $45 per megawatt hour with normal electrical consumption from natural gas and coal-fired powered plants. And our megawatt per hour price for wind turbine generation is at $28.32. So it's almost half the price. Granted, they don't have as much of it. It's not as big of our portfolio. It's about, what, 8%? Almost 8 or 9% right in through there of our total energy production, but it's just because it's smaller. You know, we have a few, like 5 turbine generation facilities out there between Prowers County and Baca County, Springfield and Lamar area. But it's interesting to see that that production cost is so much lower, which in the long run, that percentage adds to our portfolio discount savings. We have 11% of our power came from wind turbine generation in May, and 6% of that came in June from what they reflected to me. We had a lower month in May, but it was cooler, more rain, less wind, and dry temperatures, so that's why we were less than we were in 2020. But the trend is showing that we're gaining more and more wind production as years go on. Hydrogen power will increase in cost by $1.1 million in 2023, and that's due to drought patterns in the west and also increased costs of water supply storage in like the Loveland, so where we have the LAR. It's really interesting to see that we're having an increase in cost when we have more water in the Colorado power plant because we have almost too much water and not enough place to store it. So that's a cost that's incurred because of the excess water, which I find interesting. Nothing more than that, just it's an interesting, cost. But with the things going on in Lake Powell and the big dam, Hoover Dam, and the costs that are going up there because there's less water, that WAPOW is going to affect us potentially in years to come, as reflected in the $1.1 million increase in 2023.
Excuse me.
Yes, sir.
Do you think the fact of how much they've drained Blue Mesa, they talked about that just to keep the water supplied to the Hoover Dam to keep power production up? Do you think it'll have any effect whatsoever?
I'm sure. I mean, whenever you have less water and that they're holding back for other communities' needs other than just pushing it through the dam, it's going to change things. They did not mention Blue Mesa in this past discussion, and I'm happy to bring that up to them and ask that question to find out a more detailed answer. And they may not be able to give it to me in that moment, but they can do the research and find out, which usually is what happens. But that was not reflected in this past discussion, and nor was it asked.
Because I found it interesting that it was federally government mandated that water be released and lower the level of Blue Mesa to keep the water supply into the Hoover Dam to produce power for everyone out on the West Coast.
That might be because their water levels from even like in 2010 have dropped significantly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a drought. The scientists are calling it a mega drought,
Yep.
which is kind of a scary term. But yeah, we've just got to be better stewards of our natural resources. You know, we've all discussed this before with even our water here in Trinidad. Remember, Mr. Bonato was always quite, reminding of those, telltale, futuristic kind of issues that we could face. But that wouldn't surprise me one bit. Now I'm going to go into the state legislative review. There's some interesting things happening this year. House Bill 21-1266 adopted a few measures that were included also in Senate Bill 21-200. And essentially, one of the things that they've mentioned that came to light was they're going to create an air quality control commission, which is, quote, encouraged to pursue programs to further reduce greenhouse gases, or GHGs. And now GHGs are listed as a reportable air pollutant. And, sorry, am I feeding better?
No, that was me.
Okay. And this will increase permitting fees, which could cause issues for people whenever they're trying to pull permits. The permitting fees also to include programs, though, which will do outreach to disadvantaged communities and expenses for Environmental Justice Action Task Force. So despite the fees being raised, they will be doing outreach programs which will help rural communities more. But it also will be impacted upon those rural communities more. So it's kind of a double-edged sword. So if you're out in Springfield or Hawley, for instance, let's say Hawley, okay, they don't have as many resources as we do. It's going to hit them, but yet they'll come back to them. So it's almost a wash, but it depends on how the funds are allocated per community. And that, to me, has not been revealed as how they're going to do that because it's still in a legislative piece right now. And it has not, to my knowledge, been passed with the signing of the governor at this point. That's what they're waiting on. House Bill 21-1286 is also another bill that is requiring buildings of 50,000 square feet to get these permits. The one good thing about this is it's not applicable to municipal buildings. So that is a good thing for the city of Trinidad. That's going to save the taxpayers of the community some money on those aspects. As to why municipal buildings are left out, I can only speculate that's because we're part of a nonprofit governmental agency. That's my only thought. Otherwise, if you're in the private sector, you're gonna find these things reflected in other financial burdens. Senate Bill 2172, that's 072. They want to create a public utility commission to modernize electric transmission infrastructure. So basically, they're going to create the Colorado Electric Transmission Authority. And already a member of our ARPA group, Jay Schuler, his name was submitted for this on behalf of ARPA. So we will have a voice at the table, which is nice. And Jay, from my exchanges, I found to be very intelligent, articulate, and well-versed in the history of the region's water and electrical systems. More so much, he talks about water, right? And he's very well-versed in electric, of course, too. But that is someone that's going to be speaking on behalf of our cooperative. That's really the gist of what I have. I have a couple of tidbits. There was an appreciation lunch in Trinidad that was postponed due to some inherent COVID cases among some of the line workers when they were going to have the bucket training course. So hopefully our city staff is, quarantined for no good reason, meaning they're not sick. I hope that they're fine, but if they are sick, I hope they get well soon and nothing else happens. But they hope to have another meeting, or luncheon rather, on behalf of these trainees later. Lastly, there was some talk about some certificates, renewable energy certificates, which would be discussed with Guzman Electric. And Mike, if you want to help me out with this one, we and I were talking, and I think he's a little bit more versed with the Guzman Electric
Right.
kind of situation.
Guzman Electric is a brokering agency that mostly does renewable energy. And ARPA, because they have their wind turbines and such, they have some certificates that they can sell. And so I think that's where Guzman is asking, if you're not going to use them, can we use them? And there's a negotiation back and forth, so, yeah.
The interesting thing about them is, so far, they're, to my knowledge, the only ones that can handle these renewable energy certificates. WAPOW and PSCO cannot. So it gives them a little bit of negotiating leverage. But yet, again, we're still in talks with them about how things will proceed. Of course, as things do proceed, if at all, we will keep you informed about that. Other than that, we're going to be having a meeting again in person in Springfield on August 26th. I did ask them how they felt about, Mike and I coming because of what happened with the line people here in Trinidad. And they seem to feel like, okay, I told them I'm vaccinated fully. How does that make you feel still? They're like, well, maybe if you really are concerned, take a test before you come out a few days. I mean, if you get sick though right the day of, it's kind of, how it is. Anyway, that is the tentative time for the next meeting. And they were going to have one here in Trinidad, but I think they put the kibosh on that because of what's been transpiring here in our local health community. That is the essence of my report. I know it's been a while, but the biggest thing again has been the LRP demolition. That's going to be beneficial, I think, for other members who are trying to negotiate, especially when we've had challenges with other communities.
Questions from the council? Mr. DeBonne?
No, well, you answered Carlos, one of them being in jeopardy, the city being in jeopardy of rate increases because of what's going on out west. So, I mean, it's inevitable that's going to happen.
Again, WAPOW is just a percentage of our energy production that we pull from. It's
28%?
From WAPOW. I don't think is it that much, Mike? I don't think it's that much. I want to say it's substantial though, but maybe less, like 19 or 20.
Right.
They're not, most of ours is typically coming through like Tri-State, Black Hills, XL, Mean. It's basically a conglomerate of all these other, bigger companies that we pull through the transmission lines that feed to us.
So the electricity travels to members via transmission lines owned by third parties, right?
San Isabel Electric is one of the big ones for us in our
Right.
region.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They control the wheeling is the term that they use when it's just the transmission of the electricity through their, power lines.
Right.
It's really wild.
John Martin Reservoir levels are down also. Yeah. Bad. Yeah. That's it.
Ms. Kriesel?
So is ARPA going to continue trying to increase their power by wind generation?
That's been in the talks. I'm not going to lie, I advocate for that quite a
Yeah,
bit.
absolutely.
I've been keeping my nose to the grindstone on new capabilities for battery storage. And there's a new one out of Massachusetts, and I read about it today. I believe it's called Form Energies, don't quote me on that one, but it's a new one. I read about it, and what they're doing is instead of using typical batteries that are used for lithium batteries, which are lightweight, they're going back to lead because it's a cheaper kind of consumable that they can use for battery storage, which will make the production of renewables so much better to where even on days that are cloudy and less wind, you can store the power better for longer. And therefore, it'll be a cheaper kilowatt per hour rate. I think it was like $2.83 per kilowatt hour. So if you put that to the megawatt hour, it's quite substantial savings. And it might be something coming in. I know Tesla has been working on individual units that you can adhere to your home or business if you have solar power panels. The only thing is, for our people here, because of our legal kind of contracts, we can't feed back into the grid and receive money like you would say in Denver with XL Energy. People have been able to do that, but because of our negotiated contract through 2044, I want to say, we're in it to win it, But still, if you wanted to do that, as a private property owner, I don't see why you couldn't. You just wouldn't be able to reap the benefits of putting back into the grid.
Anything else?
No, sir.
Thanks.
Well, so they looked into any solar power down there?
They have, but
I mean, I think they had some solar power, didn't they, at one time?
if they did, that was before when I was on the board.
Right. They've looked into it. We haven't had any solar power per se. Our current contract for energy specifies how much we can actually purchase solar power. It's kind of down in negotiations with our new contract, which is 2025 is when that goes to. We're trying to up that amount so that communities can actually do their own.
Yeah, that's more what I was asking, because I know we had talked about putting solar out there to take care of the sewer plant,
Right.
because that would really make a big difference.
It would, but if your main line comes in, it's regulated by the city municipal, then you get into legal troubles, which is, it's so crazy how convoluted these contracts are because of territorial disputes or, okay, well, you're wheeling through us, so you have to use us kind of thing, and that's very lay terms because otherwise it's even complex for me, and not that I'm brilliant by any means, but it's just, it's
But
very
we're-
difficult to
But
grasp
we're
on this
entitled
stuff.
to produce, what, 10%?
Correct. It is 10.
Yeah.
Mhm. So what we've really been, what I've been pushing for is to get renewables online, and then if not only if we can't produce them for ourselves, then sell them to other neighboring properties from the point of distribution where title actually changes hands. So so it hits one spot, it belongs to, say, for instance, Black Hills. After the point of distribution, the title of it is ARPA. And if we could just kind of reverse it with another substation here or there, I've been advocating for that.
Yeah, that's right.
Thank you for your report and thanks for what you do for the city
Yes.
and going and your involvement in it. I don't have any questions. It's good to-
Yeah, of course, thanks.
Rusty,
Thanks, Carlos.
anything else?
Appreciate your effort.
Yeah.
Thank you, no questions.
Yeah, of course.
Of course, one thing I was wondering is that over the last several years, they've been talking about bonds and the retiring the bonds. Are they still talking about any retiring of some of the bonds in the future?
They did in October, we retired one.
We tried,
One of them, there was a substantial.
2010, we defeased those bonds and retired those.
Okay.
There's still 3 more sets of bonds that they're
Still
trying
working
to. They're diligent about paying them down because that interest rate and everything is huge, so. yeah.
It compounds, and not only that, but then it increases our credit rating. I think we're at what, triple B? Almost we're getting up there now.
Yeah, we are.
We're getting better and better.
The,
I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
the demo timeline, when do they anticipate that to be completed? Have they given an idea as to when?
It's done.
It's done already?
It's done.
Okay.
It's done.
The other thing you mentioned about batteries, and one thing that, batteries, I think, across the spectrum of every type of energy, is really coming around.
Mhm.
And the reason why that kind of sparked something in me, because I'm on that Southwest Chief Commission, and one of the things that they're doing is they are testing batteries for trains. So that's interesting to hear that.
You know, I mean, when you see a Ford F-150 or a Hummer becoming electrified now,
Yeah.
makes you start thinking what's going to be next.
Yeah. So if we got trains, those would take a huge amount of energy, and talking about energy producing, in this case, that'd be great.
Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna ask you, what is our bond deficit down there in the, for the plant that is it still pretty high? When I was down there, it was pretty much in the millions.
Yeah.
And
It's
it's
over 100 million.
yeah, that's what I was thinking, it's
Yeah.
still over
It
there.
was 140 and change, 140 and change.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of change.
But yeah, a lot of change.
But we've been able to
It's-
apply funds from like the
Yeah.
Babcock-Wilcox settlement. That
Yeah,
went straight
I
to
was gonna
there.
ask you about that, because when I was down there, they were starting to get that settled down with the team, the guys that built the plant. Did
Right.
they ever go to court and get that straightened out?
We did for the Babcock-Wilcox boiler settlement.
Right.
Yes, and former council member Miles was very, pivotal in helping us get that I mean, to like the T to where it was, there, little things weren't left out for us that benefited. We were well looked after by her.
Did we, how much did we come out with that? I mean, just
Was
for
it
curiosity.
2 million?
6 million.
There was a $2
It
million
wasn't-
late payment.
It wasn't what we,
wasn't
no,
what
we
we
were hoping it was
expected,
gonna be up 25 or
Yeah,
better.
the court settled at 6.
Are they still researching the possibility of finding an entity to buy the whole thing yet? I know that was something that when you were on council, that was a big discussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Part of it was they were trying to sell it, but now that nobody was coming forward, and they had one person who was gonna do bio-solid generation and use that boiler, never panned out. And now the demolition contractor took all the salvage, so they've demolished it, took what
Yeah.
they could, and it was part of the agreement.
There was one company, Hussein Haria, who's the Lamar superintendent of their utility board, told me, because I actually toured the facility right after I got appointed to the board, because I wanted to see this paperweight of sorts. And he was telling me that there was one potential company, but it just kept getting pushed back and pushed back. It was an Egyptian company, I believe. Because he told me he was like able to speak Arabic to them again. It was nice. But that was the last. That was the only thing I ever heard about a potential buyer.
Any other questions from council? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
See you guys
you.
again.
You too.
Very thorough, thank you very much. Petitions or communications or written, anything, do you have anybody signed up? Or anyone listening in? Virtual, nobody? Do we have anybody virtually that would like to speak tonight? Consent agenda, item 5. Item A, approval of the regular meeting minutes of July the 20th, 2021. Item B, appointment of Jay Gillespie to the Coto Zone, the Trinidad Historic Main Street Board. Mr. Gillespie, he's here? Item C, approval of intergovernmental agreement with Los Angeles County for the conduct, of the November 2nd, 2021 regular election as a coordinated election and for the conduct of all future coordinated elections. Item D, approval of modification to the entertainment district reporting to allow Paradox Beer Company Incorporated at 316 North Commercial Street to attach to the district. Mr. Hudson, are you here? Listening in? Guess not. Okay.
I wanted to move to approve that, but with one change to A, which is, in reviewing the minutes from our last council meeting, there was a statement that was attributed to me that wasn't accurate, at least as far as I remembered what I said. So I wanted to just get the sentence on the second page in the first paragraph. She added that she didn't like the language with or without cause, and said the contract should have what the expectations are. What I said was something along those lines, but I did not say that I didn't like the with or without cause, and it was something to the effect that for that reason the applicant would understand the terms of the agreement that they were getting into, and only because this is an issue that possibly could come in front of us again, I wanted that to be corrected. So I'm just asking that sentence be deleted.
Do you want that deleted? Is that okay, or would you rather that she get with
Do you
staff?
mind if we just verify? I mean, I certainly trust your memory, Councilman Ogletree, but if we could just verify what was actually said rather than, redacting the minutes, if that's okay. And if it's correct, just kind of, compare what is in here to what was actually said, and if in fact that's the case, then make that change. And staff can let you know.
That's fine with me.
Okay,
I was
good.
trying to make it what I recalled as what was
Absolutely,
accurate.
absolutely.
Okay. Okay, could I, also have item E, approval of the bills. Item E for $2,332,420.09. Item F, approval of the payroll, July the 24th, 2021 through August the 6th, 2021, in the amount of $403,559.44. Have a motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Call vote, please.
DeBono,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Diego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 6, public hearings, we have none. Item 7, unfinished business, we have none. We actually have a pretty short agenda tonight.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's gonna complain there.
Item 8, miscellaneous business. 8A, consideration of authorization to acquire property for the gas department. Could I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. Discussion? I think we have gentleman from the gas department to report to us.
Yes, good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. As we had discussed in the work session back in June, I'd like to purchase some property that's adjacent to the gas department. 1.63 acres at a price of $3 per square foot, which comes out to $212,000 asking price. We went ahead, you gave me the okay to go ahead and put a contract on it and do a phase 1 environmental site assessment. We've done that. We got some reports back from that. We hired a company of Stantec Consulting. They came down and did a site visit on the property. We got a report. It's basically a history report saying that there was a bulk plant there. There's possible contamination. In order for us to find it, we'd have to go into a phase 2 to really see. After that all being said, the summary came back pretty, we were kind of knew what we were getting into. It didn't really tell us how much was there. They contacted the Division of the Oil and Public Safety Office out of Denver, and they assured us that the city would not be liable for any contamination on the property. If we were to purchase the property, the companies that owned the storage tanks and the petroleum are the ones that are going to be responsible for any cleanup. We could pretty much do what we want with it right now without disturbing the soil. So what I'm looking at to do with it is just kind of storage, fence it off, use it for pipe storage. It has 2 buildings on it. Those buildings can be used. I had our city inspector go down and we looked at them. They are sound buildings. They just have a little bit of cosmetic problems on them. But structurally, they're all sound. So he said that they're perfectly fine to use right now for storage and pipe and whatever else we need to. So that's what our plans are. I don't need the whole property, so I would probably divide up some of that property, use what I need, and then the city can use the other part for whatever purposes they need. And in a department head meeting, we had discussed about what we could do with the property, and our director of outdoor recreation really seems enthused about it. He wants to kind of put a trailhead there for the walking trail, and I guess they're making a trail coming from Fisher's Peak down Oak Street. So this is actually like a central hub for the walking trail and that. They all meet right there at the one location. So he had a lot of plans with that, putting parking and maybe a park and a trailhead and stuff like that.
I'd made a recommendation when we discussed that about using some of that property for, because right across the street at the Space Grade project, there's no place to, for those people to be
No
able to park.
parking and.
Not only parking, but just to go out and sit there, maybe a mini park of some kind.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Let's get some questions from council. Mr. DeBono?
I didn't really have a question, just where was the contamination you said, Steve?
Well, there's possible contamination.
Possible?
Yeah. We don't know if there's contamination. That used to be a bulk storage plant for petroleum.
So the EPA has to.
No, they don't have to. And,
They don't.
and the Division of Oil and Public Safety out of Denver said they will not pursue the issue on that, that they're going to leave it alone right now.
I might add that there were underground tanks there, but they've been removed and cleared, so that is part of it. The neighboring property actually has some wells drilled along the walking trail just to see if there's anything flowing to the river from that area. And the 2 wells that are adjacent to this property come back clean, so feel really good about it.
It also was a dry cleaners at one point. And I think dry cleaners are notorious for
Yeah, it was right up the street
being
there.
possible
Yeah.
polluters,
I
yeah.
worked there.
Yeah, so anyway,
So I've been in that area for quite a while.
so there are a number of possible, I mean, I don't want to, you know,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's all. Ms. Grego?
So this is not a technical question for your department, maybe for finances. If this money's coming out of the gas department's revenues, they're paying for it. Is it okay if we make different use of the area that the gas department doesn't need? We don't have to exchange money or?
There may be some exchange in monies from parks or from the general fund to cover expenses, but yeah.
So if we pave that property or if we landscape that property, we still won't have any problems with the gas and oil?
No, I just spoke with her today on the phone, Janice Frazier, from Oil and Public Safety. And we had a discussion, and she was wanting to know what, we were planning on doing with the property. And I told her a few things that we were gonna do, and I asked her, if we pave it, if we leave it the way it is, any problems that she foresees, and she says no. If the property's paved, you make a parking lot out of it, you can make a park out of it. I told her about the trailhead, she says that would be an excellent idea. She said, think of that because we need a lot more outdoor activities. So it sounds like she was into biking and stuff. But anyway, she said they won't pursue anything. It's not in their best interest to do it. If there's something that gets into the river, or if there's a flood that washes half of the property away, then they might look into it. If we do a phase 2 and we find something, they have grants that could help for cleanup. So she said we'd be eligible for some grants on that. But she said we didn't even have to do a phase 2. We could go ahead and start developing that as storage or parking lot or a park or something like that without doing a phase 2.
Thank you,
And there would be
Steve.
no responsibility on the city as far as them coming after the city.
I appreciate it. Was this your idea to purchase this?
Yes, it was. We've been looking at it for quite a while because the north side of the gas department building,
Yeah.
the property kind of
Yeah.
extends that way.
I saw that.
And we've been worried about somebody from outsider purchasing that and not having any ties with the city or something, just going to fence it off.
Well, thank you. That was a great
So,
idea.
Yeah, we're just
Thank
trying
you
to
very much.
move forward.
No questions?
I understand you're saying if someday remediation has to happen, that it's not the city's responsibility, that it would be the responsibility of the prior owners of the tanks. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
correct. That's what she's.
Are those owners still around, or are they still going concerns?
Texaco is one of the owners.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a division of Texaco. It was Tex Oil at one time and then Star Oil,
okay,
and that's all a division of Texaco.
okay.
So
And
yeah,
then
they still are.
alternatively, there might be grants that would be
Yeah.
available.
That would be available.
Aaron, at one time, all of that area down there were gas distributing
Yes.
companies down there. There was, what, 3 of them at one time, I think?
There was like 3 of them, and then not the actual building we're in, but the building that was adjacent to the gas shop was an old brick building. There's still a partial part of that building there. In 1901, that was established as a manufactured gas plant. So kind of ironic that it's a gas company now. After all them years, and yeah, it's back to gas. But yeah, so that was a manufactured gas plant.
Okay, thank you.
Rusty?
No. When you stay out of capital outlay, don't we also have money in economic development set aside just for property purchasing, or would that possibly come into play into this?
It could,
It
yes. That's out of the general fund, and we do have that.
Do we have any noticeable drainage problems, erosion, anything down there that we would foresee any, possible contamination showing up? It haven't shown up yet. We don't have erosion problems, probably not gonna show
I
up.
haven't seen anything. I've been down there since 1994, I believe we moved in there. And I know the tanks were removed around the year 99 or so. And we've seen the work going on when they removed the tanks and stuff, never really paid that much attention. But we're using part of that property right now for storage for our road base. The owner currently letting us use some of that, and we naturally use it to get in and out of our garage right now. And city has paved some of that property. Years ago, I guess, I don't know why, there was leftover pavement or something, and we had paved some of that. But we haven't seen, I haven't personally seen any petroleum or any signs of any contamination.
I'm glad everything come back good, and I'm hoping it's gonna go through. I'm
Yeah,
excited
that's
to
what,
get it
that's what I'm hoping.
for a lot of different uses, not just for the gas department, for the other possibilities with the Greenway Foundation and everything else. And possibilities are endless for in there.
Yeah.
Good job.
I think it's a good location for a lot
Yeah.
of stuff.
I have no questions, thank you.
Well, likewise, I think it was a good decision or recommendation. And, anytime that we as a city recognize the need of our utility departments to expand for protection, and I understand the need for protection,
Yeah.
mostly of the pipe, to keep it out of the sun.
Yeah, exactly.
I know, and some of us on this understand what the sun does to some of the
Oh,
pipes, so
yeah.
it's good, so.
Keep it out too long. it's not
Anyway,
good.
we'll see what the council says. Okay,
Okay,
Thanks, Steve.
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Any other thoughts? Ready?
Oh,
Call-
it's, okay,
Call
so
for
we have a
vote.
motion.
Yeah, we have a vote, we
Okay.
have a first and a
All right.
second. Mr. Valentine, have anything to add?
I do not. I think Steve presented very well and answered all your questions.
Okay. Call vote?
DeBono.
Yes.
What did she say?
Wait, Audra, could you repeat that, please? You're pretty quiet.
Bill Knowles has his hand raised.
Yes, we can barely hear you.
Excuse me.
Bill Knowles has his hand raised. Do you want to break?
Okay. Bill, go ahead, you're recognized. Bill, can you hear us?
He's muted.
Yes,
Yes.
okay.
All right.
There's nothing? Okay. Well,
Not
let's-
sure what any of us said.
all right, let's go ahead and call the vote then.
DeBono,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree,
Yes.
Shu,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. Item 9, council reports. Mr. DeBona.
Well, I really don't have anything other than I interviewed Colonel Lou Simpleman and Lisa Camarillo from the Trinidad Community Foundation about the extension of the second half grant cycle. Extended from, I think it was July 23rd was the actual deadline, but they're going to extend the submissions for that. And that's, I didn't go to the Fort Wooten Veterans Council meeting last night because I didn't get out of the radio station until late, but that's all I have to report.
Okay.
I have nothing to report, but I want to do a public thank you to Mr. Valentine and Mr. Vigil from the Water Department. I had a citizen call me at my house Friday night, frantic because of a water leak. So I text Mike. Mike sprang into action. And the Water Department sprang into action, and that constituent called me today and thanked me. So, I mean, it's nice to hear good things from the community about our staff, so thank you, Mike, and I thank
pass that on to
please
the
tell
board.
Mr. Vigil the same. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you. Good job.
Frank.
I don't really have anything. I just kind of wanted to ask for an update on the Country Club Drive, Santa Fe Trail. Are we,
Sure.
Saturday we had all the gravel down there on Sonic.
That's definitely caused us, several of the rainstorms have caused us issues. They've, Monday and Tuesday, they've dressed it back up, they've packed back in where it's washed out. Today they're pouring most of the sidewalk. We've had an issue trying to get asphalt oil and the paving contractor, because what I'm told is the oil is at the bulk plants ready to go, but they can't get drivers to deliver to the asphalt plant. So I was told today that next Tuesday is when they're scheduled to pave, barring another,
Well, tomorrow
deluge.
night, we're supposed to get another deluge.
Yeah, well, and it's
Yeah.
it's packed in there pretty good. They actually recycled the asphalt and the concrete and crushed that and put it in there. So it's holding better than road-based wood, but, we've had a couple times where we had to go get the road down on Main
Yeah, it's
and bring it back.
crazy.
So, I know it's been a long, tough battle, but once we get it done, it's gonna be nice.
Have we got any plans more for potholes? Because boy, we've really started to get a lot more. Have we been able to get asphalt, or will
Same
we be
issue
able to?
where
They don't even have any out there, the Zani's, huh?
No.
Oh, jeez.
If I might tag on to Frank's question about the road up there, I know that there was some questions of some sinking. The company that, Do they-
We called them in on warranty work. They're also working there, and they've got that all, the one portion done, and they're, done. They've got it recompacted back up. They're waiting on asphalt to patch that back.
I just hope that if that's the problem, that they can correct it and not an ongoing problem like we've had in the past.
No, this is, interestingly enough, the company came back and they were embarrassed by it, but they showed us all their compaction reports based on, all the tests that were run, and they passed everything. It just, for some reason, settled, so.
We don't have an underground spring under that thing that could way down deep? Okay, all right, go ahead.
We'll tap into it.
Neither one of my commissions that I'm a liaison has met again. There's one on August 12th for the arts and culture, so I'll have a report for next time. I just wanted to tell a couple personal things. I've had my sister here in town for over a week, and it's been really fun seeing Trinidad through her eyes. And she's just amazed at everything that's happened since we got to town, and it's very fun. She was even looking at houses, so that was nice. And one thing that we really enjoyed is the Trinidad Triggers games, and tonight was supposed to be their last game. They had a really good season, and the people who are behind that deserve a commendation for everything they do for the city, and I'm glad the city supports it, because it's really a jewel in our crown that we have that, but you all know that. And then the last thing is that on Friday I got word that, and I've talked with Les about this, but on Friday I got word from the governor's office that I was appointed to the Colorado Creative Industries Advisory Council.
Nice.
And one of the reasons they wanted someone from this area was because there isn't anyone from this area any longer who's on that council, and so I'm looking forward to that.
Good job. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
All right.
I don't have much except that, we are host family for the ball players, and they all come in today because the last game had been canceled and said goodbye. And really went on and on about how welcoming this community was, and that they hope that they will be back. And so I agree, that having the Triggers is a feather in our cap, another venue for people to go to for outdoor entertainment. So that's all I have.
I
The boys hit the road today.
was talking to someone the other day, and they said, "Do you guys have a minor league baseball league here, a team?"
Yeah.
I said, "Yeah." They were surprised as heck. So,
Yeah.
Mr. Williamson.
I just have a quick update from Southern Colorado Council of Governments. Two things of note. The home health services are having a real bad shortage of workers. It's really affecting the services they're able to provide for people that really need services. So they're working really hard to find ways to compete and get people in. Also, Mike, I think they'll be in contact with you. They may have excess grant funds for work they're doing to the senior citizen in Wassenberg, and they're going to be able to maybe do some improvements to the local. So
Great.
they'll contact you, obviously, to work with us on that building as we own it, but they'll be in touch with you. for
Okay.
that. That's everything.
Okay. And just something to tag on, just for your information, being that you're our representative to the South Central Council of Governments, Spencer Dodge, who is our director for the Southwest Chief, is going to be making a presentation to your board in September.
Oh,
Okay, just to let you know. And following up with that, the Southwest Chief, what we're beginning to do is putting together a report that will be handed off to the new Front Rail Passenger Rail District. So we've been in process the last couple of months since that has passed, and putting together all the stuff that we have done, what we've accomplished, and what is still maybe needing to be done, so that there's a good handoff to the district, the new district commission, so that they'll have everything in order of what we've done and be able to pick up and run with it. And I think Frank, you had asked about the information about everything, once you get past Laney.
Yeah.
Well, the rail runner that's down there is in good condition, okay?
Right.
And then after that, like I said, everything going west is Amtrak, and that's all been improved from what I've heard. So,
Well, that's good, because I mean, we
Yeah.
need to have it all done
Yeah.
to make it worthwhile for us to work on it.
that's true. So that's the information on that.
Thank you.
On the Southwest Chief and the rail runner goes down to Laney. Jeff Shoemaker and the Greenway Foundation was here last week, I think it was last week. After that meeting, that they came and asked the community to participate, to put your little plug up there to see what you liked from some of the ideas that they had. They will be back in September to give us some renditions of what they think they can do with our river bottom, and some drawings. So, and they'll do another presentation to the public. So that's their plan. I'm excited to see what that's going to look like. Jackie from GOCO, she is the interim director for GOCO, and she was very interested in this project. And I think if she gets appointed as permanent director, I think that we're going to be able to see substantial money. They gave a figure out there, but it was very big. It was in the multi-millions of dollars that will be available for this project. And she, like I said, she is very much in support of funding the project. Trust for Public Lands, who we know because of Fish Speak, they're also at the table with them also. There were several others there. Mr. Valentine and I were both at the meeting. I attended the 5 Star Bank opening that was here about a week and a half ago. Okay, it's kind of cool because they kept a lot of the marble and the way it looked back then. It's a nice looking bank. So. Just want to let council know, there are still some of the pictures that we still need to give off to some of the people that, like you and Mike were there, and we still have to give some of those pictures to some of the people. They will be here on the 17th, next meeting.
Okay.
And these are pictures of Fisher's Peak and a little card that we'll have for them. And there'll be Trust for Public Lands, the Nature Conservancy, and some of the people that were behind the scenes that were very integral of supporting the project. There was one attorney there I think it was from the Trust for Public Lands, that did a lot of work for the project, pro bono.
Wow.
So it was probably pretty expensive for him to do. But that's the kind of interest that we've had.
You're
on
looking
that
at
project.
me like, huh? Yeah. Why don't you do some of that? I hate this guy, I'm kidding.
But they will be here. They will be here on this. They will be here on the 17th. So, and it's kind of neat because these were the people that are coming are the people that I really felt really were the main players in going after a lot of the funding. Even though that the funding was given by CPW and GOCO and these other people, but Trust for Public Lands and Nature Conservancy, they were the guys that really drove what I call drove the bus. So Mr. Valentine?
Thank you, Mayor, members of council. Just today, this afternoon had a meeting, kind of an update with the New Elk Mine Working Group. They've got 86 employees now.
Wow.
They're building.
Not a lot of Colorado miners. Even with the incentives that are given for them to go back to work, not a lot of Colorado miners. So with that being said, they're coming from Central Appalachia and Alabama and all places.
Canada,
Yeah.
I get calls at my place for people looking to rent.
Here's the issue, housing. So they're struggling. They're working toward developing something themselves.
Colony.
Yeah, it's an issue that we have to somehow crack this nut. So, but it's good that they're in operation. They shipped off a train already, so that's good. And the only other thing is just to let council know that by charter, departments need to get their budgets to me by August 1st. We're starting the budget process for next year already. So department heads have done that. They're getting those in. And we're starting that process to try and see what happens moving forward budget-wise. So
That, I guess it's a realty company that's moving into Jay's building over in Keller and stuff.
Keller and Williams.
From what I understand, that they are working on trying to get some developing or looking at developers. From what I talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago on that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
hopefully we
That's,
can make something happen pretty quick.
For the mine, they're not moving fast enough. They've rented out every room for 4 months now. Ahead, the roadway in, they've got every room there, and the Quality Inn, they've got quite a few rooms there. But these miners, they have families. They can't be living in a hotel.
Did they
eating out.
say how many clean ton a day they're doing at this point?
I don't know how much a day, but
I was just
he
asking
said today he reported, I think since they started, 20,000 clean ton, 40-some thousand tons of mining, and then the tailings that go up on the hill. So they're refining the wash plant process to extract more.
I'm just
more
curious
coal.
as to how much truck traffic on the road is.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's, CDOT is on the calls. They're monitoring
it's
that.
unreal up there right now.
Yeah.
It's what?
A lot of truck traffic.
I bet.
Yeah.
Well, I think they had originally said that when they got into that production, it would be like a truck every 15 minutes.
Yeah.
6 to 6.
Yeah, they need 800 trucks to fill a train.
Right.
Yeah.
Really?
The train that just
Yeah.
went out had 125,000 metric tons of coal on it.
So you gotta figure if they do that in a week, like I said, that 15-minute truck rotation is what
Yeah.
Got it set up to not run during school
hours,
bus
yeah.
drop-off pickup times and
Yeah.
everything else. So
Right.
they're doing all the right things.
Yeah.
They looked into all that way back then, and they talked to us and
Yes.
said that they were concerned about the school time of when
Yes.
school buses were running.
And the rail is in design. Engineers have surveyed the old rail bed, and they're working on putting the rail back in so we don't have that issue. So
They got one bridge there at Cordovas, Regular Weston, that bridge is no longer there.
right.
So we gotta put
Gone.
we gotta put a new bridge in there.
Right. Process of
Okay.
being there.
Mr. Downs,
Nothing to report.
oh, come on.
Sorry, I know. I hate to disappoint.
What, you like in a hurry to get out of here? Sure.
That's right, yeah. That's right. That's right.
I just have one little bitty bitty. Our esteemed city manager is turning the big 6'6".
Oh, jeez.
Wow. Wow. Nice, nice.
You're trying to
Happy
stay
birthday.
double
You
sixes.
don't look a day over 65.
All right, well, happy birthday anyway.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Mertz.
Thank you.
Yeah, Mertz.
Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
call the roll.
Bono,
Yes.
Goodall,
Yes.
Griego,
Yes.
Ogletree. Yes. Shu,
Yes.
Williamson,
Yes.
Rico.
Yes. We'll see you Monday.